Boy, oh boy, do I got a surprise for you guys. I know I put it out there before they come on, but man, I've been waiting for this one. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, Garrett Holiday. That's right, I said Garrett Holiday. Thank you, my friend, for coming tonight.
Anytime, Don. I'm glad to be here. I couldn't wait for this. So glad to be here.
Well, I'm trying, I find that it's a little escape, not for just me, not for just the men and women that are coming on, but for the fans too. They're getting to watch uh, and listen to your stories and stuff like that. And they would have never heard some of the stuff that's coming out of these cool conversations we were having. So basically, it's just a couple of Goombas kind of hanging out, talking wrestling and Garrett Holiday. So if you're down for that, I mean, we can just kind of start rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Let's
right.
rock.
Well, first off, before we get into that, you, the family, with all of this whole, I'm not gonna do the stupid COVID thing to you. I do this stupid that. Never mind. Never mind. How you doing to the whole thing with you and your family?
Everybody's good. Nobody has been positive or anything like that. Everybody just keeps their social distancing and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has been healthy, and actually most of them are essential, so they're working. So
I,
that's a good thing.
I I'm kind of the essential on the essential end, if you will. I do the food thing, so I'm out there dodging, bobbing, and weaving, and doing my thing, But hey, again, we're all good. Now let's push all of that aside. We like to talk wrestling. That's why we do this. Now, for the fans that don't know Garrett Holiday, I've only met him a few times, maybe a handful or so, seen him perform. But it's a privilege for me to have him on here because the way his career is taken, I had my eye on him, but it got turned up a notch. When we get into that a little bit later, Garrett, for those that don't know you, what area are you from? I'm from CT, and we kind of got a little distance between us, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I am from Cobleskill, New York. I'm about probably 2 hours from you. It ain't that far, but
No,
yeah, like the first time I met you, Don, was in CT at Test of Strength. So
we love test of strength, and I do remember because, man, you know, to be, and I don't want to, I'm not slighting by any chance, but your gear, it's not flashy. Your move set, it's not flashy. You come in there, you bust some teeth, your gear looks good, but it's not all of these crazy bright colors. So it's a little bit harder to stand out in wrestling. But dude, you came in the ring, you did your thing. Me and my pop, because I take him to all of these things, we're
mhm.
both at the same time. We're like, I like that guy. You pull this right into whatever you're doing. I think because it was more of I could relate to Garrett Holiday. He's like a regular dude, but getting in there and just punching people in the mouth. Uh, do you feel that's how your character relates to the fans?
I personally, yes, in a way, you are right. That's the way that I try to proceed as myself, is almost like an underdog, not just an ordinary underdog, the underdog that nobody thought about, the
Mhm.
guy that came from nowhere really, and just fought his fight, survived, pun intended. Um, I go in there and I give everything I have every single match, no matter where it is, whether I'm a bad guy, whether I'm a good guy. At the end of the day, I'm going to make you believe that I am in there to entertain everybody. And not only that, I'm in there to prove a point. You
Mhm.
know, over my 26-year span of living, I have always been doubted. I've been doubted by a lot of people, and a lot of it I had to deal with. I didn't really let me. It let me down a lot, and I had to try to prove myself throughout my whole entire life. And little by little, every year, I gotten better and better until I got to professional wrestling, and that is what has changed me to be better than the next person. Not that they're not better, but I want to be a little bit better than them. And that's my goal throughout my wrestling career as well. The way that you guys precede me is exactly right. I want to go in there, I want to fight, I want to make you have a good time, but I also want you to realize that I'm not playing around. I never try. I mean, I do try every once in a while. It's always good to have fun.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, when you're trying to make a point, you kind of got to do what you have to do. And as far as flashy gear goes, I'm not really into the flashy gear type, as you can tell. I'm just me. I'm not like Big Cal Stevens, you know, that persona, but I'm a little bit of just an ordinary guy trying to make it in the business and an ordinary guy trying to fulfill his dream just like everybody else.
Again, latched on to your character when I first saw you at Test of Strength in East Hartford, Connecticut. What a hell of a time we have over there because it's so tight knit in there.
Oh
Holy
yeah.
cow. It's a
Yeah.
ring. If you boys and girls don't know, it's a room with a ring and about 30-ish chairs, maybe.
I would
Um,
say that. Yeah,
and
pretty
you
much.
and you walk in the door and bam, you're wrestling. That's it. You're in the midst of the whole ambiance. I want to kind of start there and then get back to your character because hey man, we all know I'm not all that bright, so I just kind of jumble around a little bit. So if you could just follow me, I would appreciate that. But when we're at TOS, that tight knit atmosphere, do you care for that? Because you've got to really keep your eyes on a swivel, or your eyes, your head, because you don't want to hurt nobody, and it's like right there.
Um, I mean, it doesn't really phase me. I mean, I know the question is, doesn't phase me. It doesn't phase me per se. I I don't really care much. I just go in there and I want to make you guys happy. I want to make your money. Uh, I want to make it what it's worth. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And I definitely do keep my head on a swivel to make sure that I don't hit anybody or anything like that. Because when I fight, I go all out. I ain't gonna stop for nothing, unless it's you guys, because you guys are the fans. So I can't really clock you or anything like that. But as far as like a tight space like that, not really. It's just different, and different 9 times out of 10 is great. Um, but I mean, you look at, I mean, it's no near the same. Like you look at TOS and then you look at NWA. It's
Mhm.
just a small arena. Um, it's probably no different than 80,000 people sitting out there. In my opinion, it's just I look at I love TOS, and even though they're starting small, I know they're going to end big, or they're going to keep going big, and I believe that they can be a stature of NWA. So, like I said, if you start small, it doesn't matter to me, and I actually like that atmosphere because then you can see if you entertained everybody there. Like you said, there's 30 people there or 30 seats at least. If you can get all 30 people to love you, that's pretty cool in my book, because then you can put it into the next company that has 50 people or 100 people or 200 people, and then you can just look at the facial expressions. Each person has a facial expression. They're either going to love you or they're going to hate you, or they're not going to like you that much, or maybe they'll get you the next time. I look at facial expressions when I look out there. Don, you always have a million facial expressions. Most of it is with smile. So it's just so it's it. I look at you and I always see you smile. So I always see a shock in your face too. It's always awesome looking at you. Um, but you look at kids and you look at everybody else. You want to look at that. You want to judge if you did good or not. You want to judge what you can do better to make them believe more. Um, and so yeah, I mean I do like that small atmosphere because it'll help you. It'll make you learn better. And I think that's what TOS is trying to do. Not only are they trying to get better, but they're trying to keep their students looking at the facial expressions, getting the crowd reaction and all that.
Mhm.
That in my opinion is why I like it, TOS. Even if it's not the reason, that's the reason why I like it.
You brought up many valid points in that. TOS tries to get you ready. They have a hard cam that sits. They want you to work that hard cam. That's a big aspect. They want you to work on your promos, doing after match interviews. Like you're saying, reading the fans. Now you speak really cool about that, reading, engaging us, and seeing where we're at. And is that something that's come? Because I loved character intrigues me, and wrestling obviously intrigues me, but have you always had that natural ability to connect with the fans like that? Because it's not always the case when you're upcoming and starting in.
No, I never had that. I never had that until I would say I started in Excite Wrestling, Excite Wrestling in Binghamton, New York. Um, I would try and it wouldn't quite work out. I know that some people just go out there just to do their match and put on a good show, whether the crowd likes it or not. And that is what it is. That's just how some people are like for the time being until they learn from somebody that they can learn off of. I had a lot of people help me with that, and I think they made it into something that I had to learn. I had Drake Evans as a trainer, as you had him on your show. He was the biggest uh, critic on that because if you don't got them, what are you trying to do in the business? Just be a good wrestler and try to make it without the crowd, because honestly, you need the crowd, obviously, to make it or break it. Um, Triple H said it best. If all you need to do is win them over, and you're over. That's also the way I looked at it. I had Drake Evans, also my trainer. I had Chip Stetson, which is his trainer, which I consider my trainer as well, because he's helped me a lot as well. You can look at Sean Carr, who is a big name in Binghamton, and he's been, giving me critiques and stuff like that to look at the crowd more, get them in, get them on, all this good stuff. And I can name a whole bunch of people. Um, it all takes, it depends on if you have the heart to want to learn. And that to me is more important, because every day you have to learn something new. And that's just how life goes. My father always told me a scared man can't win. If you're too scared to do something, why do it? If you're too scared to go out and do something, why are you doing it? And that's the way I look at it. And ever since he said that, that's what's stuck in my head. So I listened to Drake, I listened to Chip Stetson, I listened to Sean Carr, Rob Cook, all them guys. And every day, every show, I learned something new. And that's what it's all about in my book.
Uh,
Besides
uh,
you
uh,
guys.
yeah, excellent message though, because if if you want to stay at your home base and you want to feel comfortable with the fans that know you and you want to feel comfortable with the move set that you have, and you don't go to other promotions, try to get that challenge out there and be like, I'm going to make a total strange crowd react to me, whether they know me or not, and stuff like that. So pushing yourself, and getting out there, and like you're saying, it's a never ending process with wrestling. And I compare music and wrestling very similar to each other in many aspects. And the guitar neck I utilize as a metaphor to wrestling experience, because you pick up a guitar, that neck, it's infinite. You can never learn everything on a guitar. And to be honest with you, it's the same thing in wrestling. That guitar neck and wrestling, I find, is very compatible as a metaphor, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I believe every word you're saying, Don. I think that and I mean, wrestling is um you can compare wrestling to anything as far as that scenario goes for. Um But yeah, you're absolutely right. Um, let me give you a quick story on something. When I started in Excite Wrestling, I was just a guy. I think it was 2017, I believe it was. I did an ROH tryout slash seminar because Brutal Bob Evans wanted me to go there. He wanted me to learn, and that's another guy that's helped me along the way as well. So big shout out to Bob Evans. Um, but he wanted me to go, so that's where I went, and it was in Whitehall, New York, for World of Hurt Wrestling. Was I a little intimidated? Absolutely, because I didn't have gear, really, and I was 3 years in, and I was like, oh man, I got to take a shot at some point. Scared man can't win, so I did it, and I actually got a discounted price for it because I did something for Bob. But I did it, and it actually opened up opportunities for me because literally, Sean Carr was there, and he was just like, "Hey, you should come up to Binghamton and wrestle for Excite Wrestling." I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Yeah." Um, and to be honest with you, I heard of 2CW, but I was just starting to get into wrestling when it was about to close, so I didn't know about Excite Wrestling. So I was like, yeah, I'll come up. Yeah, absolutely. And I did, and it was like a two-parter. I went up for the first part, and they didn't have anything for me. Johnny Moose didn't have anything for me, and so I sat in the crowd and I watched the atmosphere, and the atmosphere was really different from every other place that I've been to.
Oh,
Like it's a 2CW crowd. Yeah, go ahead, Don.
uh, the difference, because I talk about the difference of different crowds from state to state. Like New York
Right.
City, I went to the Bronx at Dario's Fitness, and those guys are effing bonkers. Um, Tell us, the fans, what makes it different. You're saying it as a wrestler. I'm very intrigued.
Well, I mean, the difference is like they know about wrestling. They don't know the insides of wrestling, but they know about wrestling. So they can almost like call out some of the stuff that you have, and they'll heckle you, and they'll try to like get you off your game. And they're a different type of breed. And to be honest with you, that was the best crowd that I could have learned off of, because literally it wasn't anything like the other crowd that I have performed over. I performed in Test of Strength before that. I performed in Rhode Island before that, and those two are even completely different, even though they're right beside each other.
Mhm.
And so like I said, the first day, the crowd reaction was so different. They were popping for everything, super kicks and all. It's like super kick party. Um, Watched the whole show, was blown away. I was just like, I really want to be here. And so Sean caught up with me, and he got Johnny Moose and I together, and he was just like, tell me about yourself, yada yada, and we went on, and he's just so Sean, you know, persuaded him. He was just like, what do we got for tomorrow, the next day, the second event? He was just like, well, you want to wrestle DJ Hyde? And I was like, DJ Hyde from CZW. And I'm like, yeah, I'll wrestle DJ Hyde from CZW. And I was just like, did I just say yes to DJ Hyde from CZW? Is this going to get hardcore? And they were originally going to make it hardcore. And I was just like, oh boy. So anyway, I come the next day. My entrance was what it was. It was nothing, because literally I had nothing. It was the first time I had been there, and I didn't have that much. I had gear at the time. I bought gear because I really wanted to branch out in 2017. So I got gear, and it was okay. It was kind of rushed by main event gear, but that is what it is. But it was all right. People instantly started off with jobber chants, and they literally heard DJ Hyde's music, and they literally told me, run, run. they they were literally doing this chant like, run, run. And I kept my persona. I was just like, nope, I ain't gonna run, blah blah blah. And I probably put on the best match that I could have done in that atmosphere with DJ Hyde. And by the end of it, they had a little different opinion of me because I literally put up for the fight of my life. And at the end of the day, that's what it started. And then, so on and so forth. History goes on with Excite Wrestling. It took me a while to actually become a mainstay, even though I kept coming. And, they kept giving me stuff. But it wasn't really enough. It wasn't something for me to show, to impress. I did what I could to impress. But the crowd was, every time they seen me, they had a different reaction. Every time I came out, it was a different reaction every show. And it wasn't even a bad reaction. It was, oh, here's that guy that faced DJ Hyde. Oh, here's this guy that we don't even know yet, but could be good. And I had people walk up to me and said, hey, you're a pretty good wrestler. What are they going to do with you next? I was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to get a job here. And like, it was a never-ending battle with Excite Wrestling. And now they have the most hatred against me since I did some stuff that they didn't like, but they deserve it, and I don't care. So anyway, but yeah, different crowd reactions are definitely the best learning experience in my book. And I love the way that I can go, even in New York itself. You got Excite Wrestling, the crowds are 2CW basically. You got NYCW, who has a couple people from like 2CW, but they have like the quiet folks. They just want to watch. And then you got some guys at NYCW that are just guys that want to see really good spot fest everywhere. And they just want to say everything. That's a little bit of a mixture because it's right smack dab in the middle of everything. And that's cool, but it's actually confusing at the same time. And Survival Championship Wrestling, they just want to see good damn wrestling. And that, in my opinion, is where I want to be at. But, I love every single place that I go to because I learn. And my character is starting to fit in Excite Wrestling, and it's definitely a fit for Survival Championship Wrestling. Test of Strength is a little bit of a mixture. They can love, they can hate you. They want to see wrestling, and they love it all. And that's what I love about Test of Strength. They love it all. And it's one of my favorite places that I haven't been to in a while, due to certain circumstances that I can't really make most of the time. So, but I will try to get back. Sammy Diaz, I haven't forgot about you. Just want to give you that pointer.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my input as far as like looking at facial expressions and stuff like that in different crowds.
You, my friend, speak very smartly. I guess it's the best way to put it, because you're giving this like professional wrestler, been in the game for a long time vibe to us, the fans right now. So that really stems from who taught you, how you've been taught. The respect of the game is definitely within Garrett Holiday because of the way you talk about it is amazing. Very smart. Like, I don't know, man. You kind of blow me away right now because, and I'm not, I'm not taking nothing away, but again, I seen you a few times. The few times I saw you, like you said, you kind of, and it's hard to flip-flop with the fans. That's something we definitely have to get into with the heel and the face kind of switch over thing. But you mentioned a couple things. Obviously, Drake Evans, big influence, your trainer. We have to speak about him and SCW, and that is what totally turned me around and made me a Garrett Holiday believer that I will never go back. After that that whole series of matches, I'm telling you, that story at SCW has totally reeled me right in to Garrett Holiday. So, Drake Evans, give us the fans your training, how, those fundamental. the fundamentals, obviously, you got to learn how to bump and all of that cool shit, but your mindset seems older than you are. That's what I'm looking for. Your mindset seems a little bit past your time, and you're a young guy. Talk about us about Drake Evans, if you could.
Drake Evans is um, he is a brother to me. He always has been ever since I walked through the doors. Um, he always treated me with respect. He always treated me as if I could be the next big thing, and he's always told me that. But he tries to tell that to everybody. But he also wants you to realize that you you are what you make it, and that hit me in the heart because literally, if you don't try, it's like I said before, a scared man can't win. If you don't try, how are you going to succeed in the wrestling business? And that's the way I took it. The way that he presented it was that he wanted to train us the hardest we could, to the point where we not necessarily purposely black out, but like literally to the point where you don't give up until you tell me you're giving up. And that it was a little hard at first when I first started because literally, we do 1,000 squats and we run around the plaza that we had at least four times, then 1,000 squats, and then we'd start the wrestling training. He trained you hard and ready for the possible tryouts and all that. And that to me was the best training that I could have had. Um, he didn't want you to give up. In other words, you know, was it was it like strong style? Yes, it was strong style, and love hurts. Some people can take it, some people can't, and I'm not even going to get into that drama. That is what it is. Some people can take it, and some people don't want to. Um, I took his training seriously. Was one. I was probably the only student to really graduate within 3 months. I believe. I get hit in the head a lot, so I don't remember. But he believed in me enough to start me after just 3 months of training, and it was typically a 6 month course. You go through hell, you prove that you want to be there, and that's all he wanted. He wanted you to be the best you, and he was there to help people, no matter if you had to pull him aside or during training, or even if he wasn't training the class. Sometimes, there's other trainer. There was Chip Stetson was there every once in a blue moon, which was nice. And even if you wanted to talk to Drake after that, that was fine. He gave you his number at the start of it. If you wanted to learn something, text him. That's all you gotta do, and that's all it was. And as much as some people in the world, I'm not gonna say their names. That is what it is. Some people don't like him. Some people don't want to associate with him. Some people come up with rumors. That is what it is. Drake Evans was always a respectable man to me, and I was respectful to him back because that's just the way that this business goes. And yeah, there is trying to figure out the word, but I can't. But there's arguments, there's fights, not with me because we never fought really. Probably get knocked out, but um, with everybody else, you have your going aways, the people that don't even want to associate with you anymore or anything like that. That wasn't the case with me and Drake Evans. Me and Drake Evans always had the respect for each other. He always trains me. He is always the one to say, "Hey, how was that match?" Or if I was to send him a match, he would critique me with the hardest critique that he can give you, because you can have the best match of your life in your opinion, and you can walk back to him and he would tell you, well, this could have been better, this could have been better, this could have been better. rather than you saying that you did good in your match, come to the back, and everybody's just like, oh, yeah, that was great. That was wonderful, yada, yada, yada. Because you're not really going to learn from saying, oh, yeah, that was great, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's
Mhm.
Sean Carr did that to me a few times, and it took me back because I forgot about it. You know, because I was just like, everybody was telling me how good I was, and then he would tell me, well, you could have done this better, you could have done this better. Same thing as Drake Evans. Drake Evans did that to me when I started. He still does it to me now. And I have, you know, originally I was going to go to the Tommy Dreamer school. That was the original plan when I first started. I mean, it was like it was 2 hours away for like I believe 2 days worth of training every week, but I was willing to do it. And when I looked up IYFW, it was the best decision that I can make because that was only an hour away, and I didn't have that much money. I was working in a Walmart. I was working in a Walmart, so I didn't have that much money. I don't work there anymore, and I make a little bit more money now. And you know that would I work with Drake, and Drake works with me, and you know that's the best thing that I can describe of Drake Evans is that Drake Evans is a kind-hearted person if you can actually respect him. You know, I know some people ain't gonna respect everybody, but that's just the way how Drake is, and that's the way that I got into his heart. Um, I noticed that in Test of Strength, you know, he's got a little bit of a beef situation going on with TOS, and he doesn't want to say that, so he's gonna do what he's got to do. That's not my business. But that's the best way I can describe Drake Evans, and that's the way that I can tell you the training. The training was hard hitting, hard stuff across the board, drills all the time. 1,000 squats. I can't say that enough. I was doing 1,000 squats and I couldn't even kneel down. Like I said, I worked at Walmart. I couldn't even kneel down to freaking grab an item from the shelf. I was dying. And
Oh my God.
but I never quit because I knew if I quit, I would let him down. And I didn't want to let him down. Nor do I want to let anybody down now. Anybody that I've learned from. If I let somebody down, that's a failure in my book, including like, you know, family, same thing. But yeah, that's how I can tell you.
Mr. Evans, I've heard a lot of good words about Mr. Evans. So, the young men and women that has been under him, he pushes you for a reason, like you said, because it's just to better yourself, challenge yourself, to get you ready for that platform when and if that happens, you know. So I mean, to start off like the Ripper, I got to give you credit, sir. I would have probably given up day one because I weigh about 35 pounds. I'm built like a candle. So I mean, you know, I did hear a couple notifications coming in, and I apologize. And I usually I would have shut that off normally, and I don't know why they were coming through. I apologize on that one. Now, Mr. Drake Evans, his little tie-ins with Test of Strength, it really got me and the fans heated right now because of that whole ripping the face off of my man, my guy, El Jabroni. All hail El Jabroni, ripped his damn face off. He's probably wandering in the woods with the zombies somewhere, getting some freaking corona shit. I don't know what the hell is going on. He's MIA. I have no idea. I've been waiting to hear from him. I reach out on the DM. I slide in his DMs every single day. I'm not trying to stalk him. I'm just trying to find out what's going on. So we'll have to see where all of that goes. Now, Garrett Holiday, we just talked about Drake Evans, his trainer. Now, check this out, boys and girls. You guys are going to love this shit. SCW is pretty much run by Drake Evans, and it's called Survival Championship Wrestling. Now, we're going way ahead here. We're going to where the last time that I saw Garrett Holiday, and then we're going to get back a little bit to figure out if Garrett Holiday is actually his real name. He doesn't have to tell us if he doesn't want to, but we're going to figure out a couple other things after. So Survival Championship Wrestling, there's a tournament. It's their debut show, and there's like 4 matches. Garrett Holiday worked his way up. through injury, might I add, like broken, cracked, fractured, who knows? We don't know, but he is in pain from match one. He is just lit up, and all of a sudden, the end. Oh my God. You took us on a ride that I will never forget. And my dad, whenever he goes, "Hey, so how'd it go?" My first thing I said was, "You should have been there to watch the fucking main event because Garrett Holiday blew my mind." Now, with all of that said, take us on a ride because he's your trainer. Now you're working under his tutelage in the promotion. But dude, the end result, please take us, the fans, on a journey of that debut show at SCW.
The debut show of SCW was probably the best turnout that it could have been. Not only were guys fighting to survive in championship wrestling, and I don't think really anybody survived more than I could. I was up against guys that were heavier than me, that were more experienced than me, and it was just a moment that I couldn't let go of. Because over the past 5 years, I have not held a title. In the past 5 years, I have only maybe competed in 2 title matches.
Oh, wow.
Except for Immortal Championship Wrestling, which I've lost every single one, but that's besides the point, and we're not going to talk about that. But at the same time, for Survival Championship Wrestling, the debut show in Rensselaer, New York, was literally tough. It was tough to survive. I had a guy named the Mad God Trip, the Madness of Trip, whatever the hell he's calling himself now, beat the living crap out of me, but it wasn't stopping me because I wasn't letting this one go. I wasn't letting that one go. And I beat Trip with an inch of my life, and he wanted to sucker punch me in the ribs that were pretty much almost broken, if not broken. And I couldn't even get up. I had to have everybody help me in the back, and it was a moment that I had to take into consideration because I had the doctor tell me that I shouldn't even go out in the main event against Bobby Ocean, against Drake Evans, or even against Mike Skyros. 3 of the toughest opponents that I could ever face in my career, and that was the first time I faced Bobby Ocean. I didn't let that stop me. I walked out there and I gave it every single thing I had, and I wasn't letting it go. And clearly, I didn't let it go because I am.
Oh shit, I love that belt. It's fucking gorgeous. I don't mean to cuss so much, but I love that strap.
I didn't want to let that go because not only would I have let Drake Evans down, if anybody had beaten me or let Trip get the win over me by breaking my ribs and not going out there and let him win that title or let him win that moment, I wasn't letting this moment slide, not only for me, but for the crowd. I wasn't letting that slip their hands. Not that I'm saying that Bobby Ocean could have been a better champion than me. Not saying that Drake Evans could have been the better champion than me. Not even Mike Skyros, because Mike Skyros, let me tell you, I faced him 3 times now, and he is one tough son of a bitch. And I will always fight him, even though he calls me old Yeehaw. I don't even know where that came from. Maybe I should start calling myself Yeehaw, and then he'd get pissed. I don't know. But that moment, I like I said, I probably said it a million times, probably blabbering my face off. I couldn't let that moment go because I didn't want to let anybody down. And that was that title is literally my first title in my career that I get to hold. And I'm going to defend it as much as I possibly can, and nobody's going to take it away from me because I survived for that title, and nobody is ever going to take it away from me because you want to know what it takes to take that belt away from me? You really want to know?
That,
You have to
oh,
kill me to be me.
that's what I was thinking you were gonna say. Mr. Holiday, you were not blabbing at all. This is why we do stir in the pot. We talk amongst friends. We get the fans involved in those moments. I'm sorry, sir. The hairs are standing right now. Those are the things that I will never ever forget when I get to see them live. I love those kind of stories. You took us on, and we said, like, I made new friends. I met so many effing new people there that day because I'm from way down here. And I'm telling you, I made some friends right next to me in the seats. And right when they carried you out, we were like, Bobby Ocean's got this. And I mean, we weren't pushing Drake Evans to the side or Skyros, but we really thought Bobby Ocean was going to be the favorite. Because, I mean, you were really down. I hate Mike Skyros. I'll boo the piss out of him every single minute I get. And Drake Evans, I mean, he's a tough dude and everything, but I mean, I just really thought that Bobby Ocean was going to win. And then you come out, you do this whole tournament thing to build up to the main event, and then you take the belt. Now, with all of my rambling going on, I just felt it was one of those magical moments in our tight industry with the independent scene, with the local scene like that, because you won't be able to get to see what we just saw that night more than once. It's only going to happen one time like that. I jumped the fuck out of my seat. I ran right over to the ring. Everybody was kind of all over the place. Then fans started panning out a little bit, and I walked right up to you right directly as you were kind of giving some accolades from some of the fans. You hung with the kids. You took some pictures. I stood my ground. Then I came up to you and asked you one question. Is it okay if I do a promo with you right now? Because I want your raw, natural reaction right now. And you said, turn that on. Let's go. You couldn't breathe. You were holding your ribs, but you held that strap on your shoulder. You were proud. And you gave me that time. And Mr. Holiday, again, one of those moments I will never forget in wrestling. And I thank you for that moment specifically for me. I'm being selfish right now. So thank you for that moment. But that got to share that moment with the fans. And I love looking at that video. One of my all-time favorite videos. That moment, it's branded in me, and I thank you.
No, thank you, because without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to survive that. I wasn't going to let it, but the crowd was there for me. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them were telling Trip to hit my ribs one more time. That's besides the point. That is what it is. That's a crowd. There was just 3 of them that just wanted to see me get beat up. But at the end of the day, they were cheering. So that's all that matters.
That crowd for a debut show, holy crap. They came out, like you said, man, and they were hot. They were not afraid to cheer or boo or whatever the case may be. Now, I would really love to talk about switching this heel face thing, good guy, bad guy. I think the most times I've seen you, if I'm not mistaken, has been more adulation. We like to get behind Garrett Holiday. But I mean, how hard is it as a performer to just be able to, okay, I'm coming out that curtain, but I'm not sure what these guys are going to do to me. So I have to get ready for a big question mark to turn that switch on the fly, might I add. How hard is that?
I mean, it depends. It honestly depends. Like if you asked me that question 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you because I couldn't at that time really read that. And most of the times I had wrestled, I was a good guy because the people were literally cheering for me, maybe because I had like no hair right here, so it didn't look like I was a bad guy.
And you're gorgeous. I mean, come on.
Well, thank you, Don. Appreciate it. Yeah, I had that too. I had that going on for me, I guess. But now it's a little different. Now it's I get the booze, I get the cheers, and then every once in a while I won't even get a reaction, even if it's a place that they know me, or if they're just maybe not even interested in me. It's just one of them things where you literally have to adapt or you perish
Mhm.
because you you might not even be phased by it. Some people aren't even phased by it. They go out, they do their job, and then they come back. But for a guy like me that looks at it a little bit differently, I want the reaction.
Mhm.
I want you to get your money's worth. If there's a kid that's really not interested and is just in a seat looking on his phone, you can't get that kid to react. But if you can get his head to pop up, you got him interested. I mean, if you look at a guy that's cheering for you and then you do something bad, that's the best reaction ever because it's just like, oh my
Mhm.
god, you know. Or if you're turning bad and he did something good, some people can see that, some people can't. When I go out to the crowd, I may not know what the reaction's gonna be, but if I get a huge pop when I exit the ring, I smile. I make sure that I acknowledge that they're there.
Mhm.
If I get a boo, then that is what it is. I'm a good guy. I have to smile at you, but not really. I mean, I'm not gonna look at Don Kincaid when he's yelling at me and telling me to go screw off. I'm not gonna just sit there and smile at you. I mean, I might because I know who you are, just to get a pop out of you. But it the, it depends. It really honestly depends how your experience is, how you take it, and what you want to get out of the match. I've literally when I was a buck 60 and coming out, the crowd loved me, and I tried to get the biggest reaction out of them, and then the next day, come out, same thing, I get booed. But I still gotta be the good guy. I gotta be like, oh, that's all right. Yeah, I'll just wait until the end of the match. If I win, whatever. Um, my vote is if you have the experience to adapt to that, then go with your gut. Um, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I get a good reaction. Sometimes I don't, but then I change it at the end. I'm
Mhm.
always a fighter. I never quit fighting, and people can see that 9 times out of 10 when I'm getting my ass kicked 9 times out of the 10 matches that I have, and it's almost like they respect me getting my ass kicked. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. You watch Rocky and you get your ass kicked. That brings respect. It always brings me back to me versus DJ Hyde, and it's just like I can change it just within that moment with a snap of the finger. Just because I fought, I have a face on my face that I don't even know what it is. Half the time I look at pictures, I almost look like freaking Chump from the Goonies. Hey, you guys, it's just like, God damn, man. Is that the face that you pop for? Because then I can understand. It's like, um,
We're
I
easy.
don't, huh?
We're very easy. It doesn't take much.
I, I know that it's not an insult. I know some of you guys are easy, but some people aren't. You got guys that are gonna call you jobbers. Like, oh, for a prime example, I literally walked into World of Hurt Wrestling first time, first show that I've been there ever since the tryout in ROH, and they don't know who I am. They know who my opponent is, which is Blackstrom, which I had probably the best I can pretty much say strike fight because literally we did like maybe 2 moves and it was fucking amazing. And like literally I walked out with this hat. I got rid of the cowboy hat at that instant because, my gimmick was starting to get a little stale and I felt like I needed to change it. And that's when I was kind of in question on whether or not I should do it anymore. But at the same time, I wasn't going to let anybody down because that's just not who I am. So I walked out in this hat and my new gear that I had at the time, and they didn't know who the hell I was. I did my whole shtick in the entrance. They didn't know who the fuck I was. And I get into the ring and I do my pose, and all of a sudden I hear overweight AJ. Like I'm an overweight AJ Styles, and I'm just like, oh, all right. Well, I didn't take none of it, but I mean, overweight AJ Styles still makes me laugh. They know who they are. They're probably gonna watch this, but at the end of the day, it was pretty funny. But the prime example that I'm trying to say is that yeah, they heckled me, but at the end of the goddamn match, probably the best strike match I've had ever. Match is on YouTube. I'm pretty sure Blackstrom put it up. You know, it was a match that I couldn't forget, and it was back and forth, and the crowd. And that was like the first instance that I heard the crowd just go silent. And it wasn't a silent as in if it was bad. It was a silent as if they were very interested. They were into
Yeah.
it. And you have your hecklers there that are always at World of Hurt. You know, they chimed in every once in a while, but for the most part, they were silent. They didn't know who to vote for, and that to me was a success because I went from overweight AJ to hey, that's Garrett freaking Holiday, and they actually appreciated that. They loved it. Um, you know, I could have done a little bit more to get them on my side, and I may not have won that match. But when I walked past the hecklers, they literally high-fived me, said good job, and you know I was fine after that. It didn't matter really what they honestly said, but at least I can turn their opinion of me being an overweight AJ apparently, and turning it into a great match. So,
But
go ahead.
but that's the ride we all take when you men and women get in the ring and we do our business. It's all part of that dance. But like you said, things can change in a heartbeat. It's wrestling. You could be so relevant and then you could not be, or you could never be seen. And then holy shit, there he is. Look at this dude. And so many fans have so many different ways that they look at wrestling because we all don't look at it the same way. And like we all like our own little flavors. You know, I like the combo of, you know, with the entertainment and the psychology and the whole 9 yards, you know. Um, but I'm telling you, the fans are really smart. Uh, but the only thing that I've always got pulled back from is all of they know everything, you know, that kind of stuff. So besides that, the fans are smart, way smarter than I think a lot of the men and women in the ring think, because what I used to do, instead of doing matches, I would just take my phone and I would watch the match and I could read when something was definitely going to happen, may it be within the next 5 or 10 seconds from the last time I thought something was going to happen. I'll pull up my phone and I'll catch some cool little like leg scissors or something crazy, you know, but I could see it. Like you mentioned a while back, some fans can just read what's going on. And I'm in that boat. I mean, I can read it, but I don't put it out there like, you know, like I'm a know-it-all fan. You know what I'm saying? I just keep my reserve and I do my thing. And I like to have fun. It is what it is. It's fucking wrestling, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Now,
Like I said it every 2 seconds it feels, but every crowd is different, and that's the way that we have to adapt to it. You know, I've had some funny things go on in matches to just get a cheap pop out of them. You know, and that's just how it works. You know, you gotta like I said, adapt or perish, and you have to give them their money's worth. That's the way I feel.
so this character, because I'm gonna have to call it a character, he seemed to be, and because you always were, from what I mean, when I saw you personally, you always had a cowboy hat, you had your shirt on, and you kind of gave that, you know, rugged cowboy kind of feel off. Not that you were doing the chaps or any of that shit or whatever. Um, Talk to us about the character Garrett Holiday. What did he represent? The cowboy hat. How did it fit in? And now, like you said, you can't say the same because you get a little bit stale, and it only takes little things to kind of mix it up for a character. Take us through the Garrett Holiday character.
The Garrett Holiday character with the cowboy hat was just a guy that, not even much different from now. It was just a guy that was doing it for the fans and doing it just to have fun in the ring. But 9 times out of 10, nobody wanted to have fun. They just wanted to fight. So later, it just turned into something that, you look at a guy with a cowboy hat and then you tell the difference between me and Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen came in to fight like a motherfucker. I came in to give the crowd a good time, but I also wanted to try and fight. It wasn't really working. Like I said, it worked every once in a blue moon, and it worked fairly well for 4 years. And then, it just gets to a point where they're just like, it's the guy with the cowboy hat. Let's just say, yay. And then it gets stale. So then Garrett Holiday with the cowboy hat was just a fun-loving guy that wanted to have everybody cheer him. Now I'm a guy that wants to be not the best, because I don't want to be the best of the best of the best of the best, just like everybody else says. I don't want to be like the rest. I want to be something different. And I will announce that I'm something different, but that's later to be seen because nobody knows yet.
Whisper it right here. Nobody will ever hear.
Yeah, right, Don.
Oh, come on,
It's
man.
the Kincaid. You know how it is.
Hey, if it is what it is. I guess I, boys and girls, I tried. You see that I tried for us. I tried for us. I would like, what I like to find out from the men and women is, do you have a home base? Because I hear some of these letters, some of these companies that are here, around. Do you find one certain place as your home base, or you're just kind of like a freelancer and just kicking ass and taking names?
A little bit of everything, Don. A little bit of everything. When I started out, I had IYFW. That ended up closing down. That was my home. It ain't anymore. It's never coming back. The only place that really took me in was Excite Wrestling. I had to fight, kick, and scream to get into it, but Excite Wrestling is, in my opinion, my home. And now that Survival Championship Wrestling has come in, I also consider that like my second home. And I will always consider that my home, especially the person that's running it. Drake, like I said, I have a lot of respect for Drake Evans, and he has a lot of respect for me. Going through the years, I didn't have a place to really wrestle. I didn't have that many promotions to wrestle for because they didn't know who I was. I had TOS. I was in the first, I believe I was in the first or second, maybe even both of them. The first shows of TOS when they only had 5 people, and you had to hide behind a curtain and a couch in a swamped area of dudes, where you get to smell the gear that they didn't wash on Sunday. And that was great. I always respected Wagner for that, Slick Wagner Brown. He took me in when he didn't even have to, but he's seen some potential in me, which is great. Another guy to learn from is Slick Wagner Brown. But at the same time, TOS was on a Sunday. That was when they were. I think they were doing I think they started to do the every month, but I think they did every other month. I can't quite remember. So that was a start for me, and then I came into a couple other promotions, like one in Pennsylvania called RCW, and then in 2017 I literally popped off because I was like a wrestling whore. I had almost everything every month, and I had a whole bunch of wrestling promotions that I 9 times out of 10 did for free to prove a point. Uncle Bob Evans said, you should not that you should do everything for free, but you got to intrigue the person to want to watch you. You go in for free, you make an impact, they like you. Okay, now we can talk. And that's what I did for most of my 2017, and I had a lot of shows, more than I ever think I've had currently. Well, 2020 was supposed to be freaking nonstop action every weekend, but this freaking coronavirus had to ruin everything for everybody. But that's besides the point. That's not something that we can change. Well, we can if we do social distancing, but I would have to say, like, Top Rope Promotions in Boston, Fall River, they were a helpful hand as well, because that was a good place for me to go to. And I literally I went up there not expecting to get paid, and Steve Ricard actually paid me for doing ring crew as well. I'm not the type of guy that just I go there and I just sit around and not do nothing or help the company. I actually went there early and helped set up the ring like I was trained and like I was told to do. And everybody liked that aspect of me. And I did the same for Excite Wrestling, and Excite Wrestling really latched on to me. Even though they didn't have anything for me at the time, I kept coming, and they gave me something. And I always considered that now, and I consider that now my home, because at the time, I believe I was traveling with Drake, and Drake ended up having to have that surgery again on his neck, and he was out for a little bit. I don't remember how long, but I know he had to step away. So now I'm on my own, and that's when I started to like branch out to other companies and so on and so forth. But I didn't have IYFW, which was my home. Now I got everybody here, but Excite Wrestling has taken interest in me and won't stop taking interest in me, even though it was a battle. They were the ones that actually took me in, made me something that I could be, and then people started hearing about me at Excite Wrestling, and I got better, and I got better, and I got better, and I started facing people that were definitely worth a damn to wrestle, and that's that's something that I always have appreciated. And but now you look at all of the New York companies that are in here, and now I pretty much worked for all of them except maybe two.
And there's a bunch of them out that, excuse me, wrestling is so flourishing right now in the last 5 to plus years or so. It's been amazing. And the companies have popped up. There's a lot of training schools, way more than there ever was. So, I mean, like, your ethics, I'll use that word, your ethics by going into the company. And Uncle Bob Evans is a very, very respected man in the industry, gives solid advice. He's on the face page all the time, and the men and women love it, share it, utilize his tools. And so your etiquette is, you get in, you set up the chairs, set up the ring, do some sweeping if there's a mess and shit like that, and take down the ring. And that gets those eyes seen on you. Like you said, Excite, they latch right on you because you're coming in and you're doing it, and then it just kind of made something. So if that isn't a message from one Garrett Holiday, like personal experience that's actually worked by utilizing those tools that he's been taught from Drake and Slick and all the names, and they just go on and on. But my point being is, you have to utilize those tools. If you don't utilize them, you just kind of stay stale-ish. And wrestling, we all know, Mr. Holiday, if you stay stale, you get left behind, and everybody else just continues to do their thing.
Yep. I know that more than anybody.
Mr. Holiday, I cannot thank you so much enough, because not only, it took me a little bit to get on the Holiday Express, if you will. The Holiday Express, if you will. Only a few matches, but I'm telling you, that ride at Survival Championship Wrestling, I am all in. I can't wait to see what Survival Championship has ahead of you, because, man, it is just going to be a bang-up story. I cannot wait for what they have in store. And the second show, I've been just chomping at the bit for their second show with everything they've had going on. So, I mean, I'm getting excited.
I really wanted to kick Johnny Moran's ass, but coronavirus has to ruin that for me.
Now, you mentioned that, Mr. Johnny Moran. Is that still in the books when the corona goes away? It is?
I hope it is.
Okay.
I ain't done with Johnny. I know Johnny's going to watch this too. Hey, Johnny, I'm coming after you, boy. And you may be coming after my gold, but you ain't going to get it. You ain't going to get it. You have to kill me to beat me, Black Horse. But the only difference is I'm a cowboy. I know how to lasso a horse. You ready? Hope you are.
That was a very fitting end to our amazing conversation with, to one, Garrett Holiday. Boys and girls, we had a fantastic night tonight with Garrett Holiday. This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the SCW heavyweight champion, Garrett Holiday. My man, thank you so much for hanging with us, the fans, tonight, champ.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Hey, I'd like to do another one of these. You should do a Don Kincaid Files with Garrett Holiday Part 2. I think that should happen.
Because we have so much more to ask Mr. Holiday. That would be amazing. See, that's what happened, boys and girls. We ask a question. He says yes. Then he comes on and he actually likes me a little bit. And now he wants to come back on. Yes. Oh, man. This was amazing. Thank you, sir. Please take care of yourself, your family, and enjoy your evening. This has been a pleasure.
You too, Don. Absolutely. You too.